and welcome to this very white room. You can see it's Euan from GameEngineStart.com, and today we're looking at Glitchspace, which is a game that I talked about on the podcast a little bit. And it's one of those, again, I seem to end up doing these videos of games that are very difficult to describe in words, but a lot easier to describe when you actually see it in motion. So let's try and do that. So, first person, your usual first person controls. Here's what you get. So you see these red blocks that end up all over the levels, and you can right click to edit it, and it brings up this awesome thing. So it's basically visual programming. The concept of, rather than writing lines of text-based code, each kind of aspect of the code is shown as a block that you can connect them all together, connect all the bits together, and eventually you end up with the result you want. So here I have things like, so there's some numbers that are adding together to, let's see, adding together to fill in a vector. Vectors getting subtracted and setting the scale of an object, and it's the scale object active. So if I go in here, I get a list of things I can add to this graph. So main object is one of them, which will be the object that I think main object is the object you're pointing at, I think is how that describes. So then you connect, you say, okay, this is the subject, so I'm going to connect that to the scale, bing, change the object, change its properties. And that's the whole concept of this game. The whole concept is taking all these editable sections and moving them about to basically get through these stages. So, for instance, here I've got a block that is completely, I will just fall through anytime I jump through it. So let's see what's missing from this. So if I look here, then we've got main object. Main object is the object you right click on, like the object you right click on to edit is main object. And there's enable collisions, but the apply input to this is off. So logic true, apply true, suddenly I can jump on it. So this is a concept that a couple of games have tried to do before. I can't remember names, but I've certainly seen games like this and gone, oh, this is awesome. And being a programmer by trade, anything that promotes programming in my book, because this is essentially what it's visual programming. Anything that promotes programming in my book is a great thing. So that's why I'm really into stuff like this. So this, and then we can move on. So what else we got now? Disable collisions. Okay, so now you add. So it's your basic fundamentals of programming. So now we've got, so rather than just saying true or false, now we've got a false and a not operator. So all we've got is false, but you can then use logic not, which connect those two up, and then suddenly inverts. So it's, again, if you're at all familiar with programming or logic, like this bit anyway is not difficult at all. So then after they give you a little bit of tutorial section, like, okay, here's your first one, go nuts. So you've got an invisible block, or a non-collision block that you have to get through. So I'll go main object, which is the object that I'm editing. I want it, let's see, allow collisions. And then I'll connect the main object to allow collisions. Moving? Moving is an input. So you can tell what connects to what by the shape of the inputs. So objects are usually these kind of Tetris block style things. Kind of Boolean logic is this kind of angled one. So let's connect this up. So I wonder what moving does. There you go. So you can see it slightly. So moving will, it's a pity you can't open the graph and move at the same time, but moving will turn true if I am the player I'm moving. So as long as I keep moving, this should stay to have collisions. Like that. This one, so enable collisions is also true. And some of them are locks, you see little padlocks, so you can't just completely destroy every puzzle by just removing all the elements. So let's see what we've got this time. We have So moving. I'm trying to remember this one. So we select collisions. So this will chain the same object. Allow collisions. Input moving. Okay. So this one will enable collisions. So this will allow collisions while I'm moving, but actually I want the inverse of that. I want to allow collisions. I want to stop collisions while I'm moving. Like that. So it's simple. So it starts off with these really, really simple ones. Oh, this is a really, really cool one. So again, your selected object stretch. So then you get, okay, I definitely want that one activated. So you just pipe a true into that one. Numbers. So then you get numbers, just basic numeric ones. So stretch object is obviously some kind of modifier. So if I give a 10 on it, straight up scale the object by 10. Just kind of cool. And what have we got in this one? 10 equals. Okay, so you kind of you work out the end result that you kind of want and work backwards. So do we want to allow collisions? We do, because we want to jump on it. What's controlling that? Well, this is an equals thing, and it's false because I'm getting 10 and 0. So if I put another 10 in here, that becomes true. Allow collisions. I'm assuming this is going to be something similar. So now I only have 5. So 5 plus 10 is obviously not equals, but if I take 2 5s, like this, and there's an add operator, so I can take that one, that one, that one. That's it, and then you're good. Oh no! Maybe opened that menu a little bit too quick there. So yeah, a lot of, like I was saying, a lot of games have tried to do this kind of stuff before, and it's never seemed natural to me. It's never been something that you can just show someone and say, hey, as a programmer, this is the kind of stuff I do for a living in my head. But this is kind of close. Like, when I'm working, I have like notebooks that just look like serial killer work, because it's just all these diagrams that look kind of like this, and just scrawled notes and things like this. So this is a good visual representation of my job as a programmer. So again, I'm trying to make it equals, so I need 100, so 5 times, so what have I got? 5 and 2, and multiply. Okay, so if I do 5, 2 of them, oops. So I should also say this is early access, Steam early access. It's currently £4. Is that right? Yes, I think it's £4.99 right now. There's about an hour's worth of game in here, but to be honest, it's kind of worth it just for that £4. I'll show you when I get into some of the later stages how the kind of complexity you end up with. 100, yeah. Okay, so that's the kind of stuff, and that's the first level. Which one is this again? So then you end up with stuff like, the thing I like about this as well is, if anyone has seen the some of the videos that Epic have been putting out for Unreal Engine 4 and the kind of internals of their editor, they have a system that looks a lot like this. It allows people to write game logic that don't program. So you get very similar things like this. And as you're going through this, you end up seeing patterns that you see in a lot of games. So here we've got a block that's kind of phasing in and out of allowing collisions. So if I add, so that's basically all the clock does. So if I get rid of the clock, then that stays there. So I can actually just run across this. But the clock can also be used for useful things. So ooh, that was just terribly timed. Let's try that again. Oh. So I want to make. I should have checked my facts before I started recording this. Actually, now that I think about it, as far as I know, this is a game that came from. Nope, that was terrible. From Abertay University in Dundee. So every year they have a competition. It's Dare to be Digital because Abertay are famous for their or at least within Scotland they're famous for they're one of the first universities to offer an actual games development course. So they have a thing called Dare to be Digital where they basically get teams together and it's basically a game jam where they make games in a certain amount of time and there's prizes at the end of it and all that kind of stuff. And a lot of games that have I can't work and talk at the same time. A lot of the games that come out of it end up either serving as really great hiring opportunities for the people involved, or the games themselves get spun out into full titles, which seems to be what's happening with this. This was a Dare to be Digital game that is being stretched out into its full, not stretched out, that sounds bad, being made into a full-on game, which I am very happy about. Okay. Okay, so main object, stretch, true. So I need to stretch it by a bigger factor. So, okay. Some of this has changed. Again, one of the things you notice about early access games is they will randomly change. And I saw there was a patch for this that came in yesterday that said it added new levels. So this is not something I've seen before, and I've played through this whole game. So build to number. So I'm assuming I need to, if I pass in true, it'll come out as 1. If 10 times 1 will stretch the object. Sweet. And for this one, so your clock will just give you true false, which will then affect that. This is going to be interesting. Nope. Okay, so you get the idea. So I'm going to, again, since early access, I can just skip to later sections. Let's skip to something cool. Let's randomly pick this one. So I've got a little bit of platforming, but now we have a thing which, so what we've got here. So now we've got this object description, which is a colliding object. So it's the object that the red blocks is colliding with, and it's disabling collisions on those blocks. So if I get rid of that, I need to say false. So every object that collides with will have collisions enabled again. Sweet. And what we've got now, so colliding objects, which is objects that it collides with. I want to enable collisions, and I want to switch it on. And so you get a great sense of breaking the game without actually breaking the game. Again, this is a totally new section. So it feels like you're breaking the game when actually you're not at all. This is all purposefully designed. Ooh, wow. Okay, so this is the thing actually. I don't even know what's going on here. Okay. So eventually you get to slightly more complex puzzles like this where you've got to go, okay, where are all the moving parts of this? And let's figure out what's going on. So this block doesn't seem to have its properties changing very much. I can't do anything with it because there's no options here. But this one appears to translate object. Okay, so main object is that object there. So there's a red block there. So true translates, and wave is, as you can see, it's a number that kind of goes on a little goes on a wave. Funnily enough, and all I've got is numbers. Interesting. So if I go. This is translating. Oh, it is moving that, but not by much. So I've only got 5. So maybe I'm missing a point here. Maybe this is from a different puzzle. Maybe I should be focusing on this thing. Maybe it's just a timing thing. Yeah, I think it is. So I'm focusing on this block when actually it's to jump. Okay, so what have we got here? What are the properties of this? This is moving, so... Oh, I can't even jump that. So what are the properties of this? What have we got? We've got 20. Okay, so you'll occasionally get modifiers like this, which are move a long Y, so move 20 units along the Y-axis, which will raise that. And this one, scale, yeah, so scale along Y. Whoop. Scale along Y, 20. Come on, come on, come on, come on. Yes. Okay. It's not really a game you can talk over because there's a lot of real kind of intricate thinking going on here. So let's see, where are we now? This looks like another level. Anyway, let's see if we can get something else and then we'll call this a day. So this is kind of what this game is right now. It's, like I say, it's early access. It is £4. Well worth the money, I think, even just as it is now. And like I say, it's getting updated, so pretty regularly it seems. So it's nice to see a game like this that's evolving as well as just existing. And it's very rare you see something in early access for like £4. So there you go. So this is what I was talking about, like stuff you see in games all the time, like a bounce pad's been there since day one. But then you see like, okay, so what do you have to, so you know, you get down there and you go, okay, I know I need to turn this into a bounce pad to get up here. So what's involved in a bounce pad? Well, the object I'm hitting, I want to apply some kind of force to myself. And how do I want to apply that force? I want to apply it along the y-axis, which will be directly up, and then apply 100 units of force on the y direction, and that is your bounce pad. Same for something like this, where you would go, let's see, again I need a bounce pad, so let's see, what numbers have I got to work with? 10? Do we think 10 is enough? Let's try 100 again. Yep, there we go. So now we need one that launches over there. So again, it's the kind of same thing. So what I need to launch along Z-axis. How much do I need to lob them? Probably a large number. So let's take 20 times 20, since that's the only number I have. Will that be enough? Yes. And you end up experimenting quite a lot with this. There was one type of level that I want to try and show, but I don't know if I have it, or I don't know how to get to it. Okay, I want to get over there, is what I'm saying. Is what I'm trying to do. So let's try and keep moving. Just get it. Ah, okay. So occasionally you'll see these barriers that you'll hit, and your gun will turn red. And what that means is you've basically got another kind of object you can select. So all of these things, I'm right-clicking to use the object, and there's nothing I can do. Like, there's no editing that I can do to any of these objects. But what I can do is press E. And what you're modifying here with all of these things is you're modifying the properties of your gun, which is kind of cool. Which lets you do really cool things. So I have all these platforms here that I obviously want to get across the other side. So I'll modify the gun, and I'll say, okay, objects. The thing I shoot, which would be the hit object, I want to translate along the X, probably. Yeah, that makes sense. I want to transmit, move it along the X-axis. I want to translate the object, so just move, basically. So hit object will translate, and the value I want to translate is along the X-axis. And I want it to move 20 units along, 20 units along the X-axis. So let's try that. Oops. Ah. I wonder why that's not working. So let's try that again. So my hit object. Oh, I need to actually activate the translation. So now if we go, there we go. So I can shoot these and it'll activate the translation. So now if I do that, now it's moving in the wrong direction. So I need to modify it again and go, actually, now I need, I saw it 2 seconds ago, negative. So actually I want to translate negative 20, like that. And then we've got platforms. So the fact, I can do all this program in the world, but I can't jump across a goddamn bridge, which is right there. Okay. Wow. This is not. I'm an engineer. I'm not an active person. PE kind of sucked. I don't jump. I make things. Let's keep going. I'm so careful I'm being jumping now. So what have we got here? So again, can't edit the object, but can edit the gun. So the gun is the gun's properties will stay until you pass through an arm of these barriers. So I can hit it again. It'll go. Oops. Okay. Moved it 20 in the wrong direction. So let's just quickly get rid of that, fire that back up again, and move it back to. Oh, that's too far. Okay, so 10. So I need my negative number, and I need. I bet I fucked this up already. This will be interesting. Yep. I'm gonna try that again. I did. I totally messed that up. Okay. Let's try doing that again very quickly. So again, this is a very similar concept where I need to get for there. That's what we go. Oops. Shoot that object. I need just to move 20 units along the y-axis and probably negative. It's really satisfying to manipulate the environment like that, like especially since it's like the logic that you have put in. You're modifying your own weaponry to be able to do stuff like this in a very, like, it's not like you would see in normal games where it's like, alright, now you can affect the environment by like making some bits ice or anything. Like it's not as trivial as that. Like you're basically reprogramming the environment on the fly, which is really cool. Let's see what we've got here. Oh wow. Okay, so what have we got? The object I'm hitting will scale along the x-axis by what have we got? We can add. Let's see what that does. So there's an X, which I don't know what that does. So, okay. So let me just check what that did again. So that will scale. Presuming X is the current x-axis, the current X value of that object. I don't know. It works. So there's a lot of cases where you hook stuff together and it'll have either completely different side effects or it'll just work, and you won't particularly understand why, but it's a really good idea to go in and figure out what it was you did. So I will solve this, and then we'll wrap this up. So I can keep expanding using the same technique I've got. As soon as it hits that platform, it goes back. And you're like, well, that seems like a cheat, right? I wonder how that happens. You click on it, it goes, yeah, any object collides with it, set the scale of it back to 0. Like it's all there once you read it. So okay, I need to modify my gun. So let's work out where I'm trying to go. So I need to, can I disable? I can totally just disable the scaling. And then you're like, okay, score, done. It's just one of these things you're like, oh, I'm gonna have to remodify my whole gun and maybe get it exactly on thing. No, you just disable the collision on the thing that's causing your problems. So sometimes the really simple ones are definitely the best. Okay, so now we want to subtract. So we added that add. So now we want to subtract along the x-axis. So if I shoot this now, it'll shrink, and there we go. And that's Glitchspace. So, like I say, it's available I'm back here now. It's available on Steam, like I say, Steam Early Access. It's about £4, £5. I can't quite remember off the top of my head. It's well worth picking up. I think there could be some really interesting uses for this, especially when you go into the later levels. The complexity just ramps up significantly, and you start to definitely see some really cool uses of the technology. So until then, until next time, stay tuned. GameEngineStart.com for everything, and we'll be back with more at some point. Bye bye.